This is page 19. The names of the many leaders in Jacob's loins. Exodus 4 and 22. Exodus 4 and 22. For by your words you shall be justified, and by your words condemned. Now Jacob had 13 children, 12 boys and 1 girl. His firstborn Reuben, he laid with Jacob's wife Bella, who was Rachel's handmaid, who became a wife of Jacob, this Bella, by way of Rachel. And Reuben laid with her. And because he did that, Jacob apparently found out because he did that, his birthright was taken away. His firstborn's birthright was taken away and given to Joseph. That's found in the book of Chronicles. And then Simeon, second-born, and then Levi, the third-born, he became known as the priesthood. Levi, the third-born, he became known as the priesthood. You're going to get Moses as the 26th generation. Levi, we're going to know for the priesthood. We're going to get Moses as the 26th generation. We're talking about the 23rd generation right now. This is the 23rd generation. Reuben, Simeon, Levi so far. 23rd generation. Judah the fourth-born. With Judah, he got the scepter, meaning God ruling scepter. And in him, going to come David and Jesus Christ. Dan is the fifth-born son. Now Dan is from Bella. And Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah is from Leah, Rachel's sister. Oldest sister that is, Leah, firstborn. Dan, the fifth-born son, is from Bella, Rachel's handmaid. And she gave Jacob another son, the sixth son, who was Naphtali. These two Bella begot, Dan and Naphtali. And then Leah got jealous and gave Jacob her handmaid, who bore him the seventh son, Gad, then you got the eighth son, who was Asher. And then these two sons, Gad and Asher, came from Zilpah. That was Leah's handmaid, who became Jacob's wife, by way of Leah. And then Leah had 3 more children. Leah got Issachar, the 10th, Zebulun, Issachar the 9th, and Zebulun the 10th, and Dinah the 11th. 11th child, that is. First daughter of 11th child, only daughter. All that, these 3 came Leah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Dinah. That's 7 children by Leah. And then finally, Rachel's going to get her 2 boys. It's going to be the 12th child, Joseph, but the 11th son of Jacob. And then Benjamin, the 13th child, who is the 12th son of Jacob, but second son of Rachel. Joseph, her first son, and Benjamin, her second son. That's when she died in childbirth with Benjamin. She died in childbirth with Benjamin. So those are the 12 tribes. And these 12 tribes, not counting Dinah, the daughter, with 12 boys, came the Bible. Again, these 12 boys is the Bible. The Bible is a history book. That people say the Bible is not a history book, but it is. It's by generation number. The record was kept by generation number. This is the 23rd generation right here. These 12 boys are 13 children. It's the 23rd generation. Jacob was 22nd generation. Now, going over here with Levi, to give the priesthood, the 24th generation in Levi, who was Kohor, second son. We've got 25th generation, Aram, and 26th generation came Moses. Now, this is Moses right here. All this is Moses. All this was Moses came under Moses' rulership. Moses was considered a god. Moses was considered a god. A god. So a small G-O-D. Found in Exodus 7:1. Found in Exodus 7:1. On the left side of Moses here are the 24 female, are the 24 elder female. The 24 elders female. The 24 elders female. It goes all the way down to Dinah and Ruah, who was Nahor, Kachaban's wife. These are the 24 elders, female. Started with Eve, Ada, all the way down to Dinah, to Rimah, who was Nahor, Kachaban's wife. Again, this is Moses, the Levite, under the Levite, under Levi, Moses came to priesthood. Under Moses came to priesthood. We're going to be Aaron eventually. We're getting him as we go along here. Then you go, after Moses, when Moses died, he anointed, appointed Joshua to take over. Joshua was the first judge. Joshua was the first judge. This is the judge. These are the judges. These are the judges. Samuel was the last judge. Samuel was the last judge. Samuel was the last judge here. These are the judges. Samuel was the last judges. he anointed King Saul. He anointed King Saul. King Saul came from Benjamin. King Saul came from Benjamin. Of Rachel. The 12th son, but 13th child is Benjamin. Saul came from his line. Now, Saul ended up disobeying what Samuel commanded him to do from the Lord. So that Saul was struck from king. And the Lord's eyes, but not the people. But the people, he was still king. But in the Lord's eyes, he wasn't no king. Again, the people still saw Saul as their king. But the Lord did not see Saul as the king. He went and anointed King David. King David. He told Saul to go and anoint King David, a man after his own heart. And when Saul died, David took over the kingship. So Saul and David and Solomon, all three of them had the whole 12 tribes. But when Solomon became king, from King David, Solomon split the kingdom up. Because he went and served other gods. His wives, goddesses. So the kingdom was split. 10 tribes went to Jeroboam. 2 tribes went to Rehoboam. Rehoboam was the one who really put the kingdom up. But while Solomon lived, God did not take the kingdom from King Solomon. He waited till King Solomon died, and Rehoboam is where the kingdom was split. So Rehoboam got Judah, which became the Jews out of his line. And then Rehoboam, who got 10 tribes of Israel, Jacob, Israel, he became known as the Samaritan, which made his kingdom in Samaria. They became known as Samaritans during Christ's time. Then you got the Jews, who was Rehoboam, King Rehoboam, King Jeroboam. These are the 2 kings that with split kingdom. Jeroboam got 10 tribes. Rehoboam got 2 tribes. Now Rehoboam is going to bless him in that, because he's under David, under David. He's David's blessed line. God promised David he will always have somebody on his throne. So Rehoboam is going to bless him in that, not Jeroboam. And it goes all the way down to Jeroboam line here, this line right here. And you got to follow the kings, because the kings can get complicated. But it's good reading. It's good reading. You find the good kings and the bad kings and everything. Good story with the kings. Until they were so bad that God turned them over to Syria, I think it was. And the Jews are Rehoboam's seed, they also went bad, and God turned them over, or the Lord rather, turned them over to Babylon. So now it's no kingdom. They're in Babylon. Everybody's in Babylon. But before that, you had the prophets that were dealing with the kings. You had the prophets that were dealing with the kings here. These are the prophets that are dealing with the kings. This is the priesthood dealing with the kings. And over here are the 13 apostles. This is the 13 apostles that match the 12 tribes. That match the 12 tribes. 13 children. When he had Saul, Paul. Now, this is what you got with this chart here. Again, far left here are the 24 female elders. From Eve all the way down to Jochebed, who was Moses' mother. And then you got Moses here of Levi. He was considered a god. Moses. This is Moses. This is Moses' leadership here. This is Moses' leadership. Then you go from Moses to Joshua, who became the first judge. And these are the judges. These are all the judges. And then Samuel, the last judge, who anointed King Saul. Anointed King Saul to be king. Saul was stripped from king in God's eyes, but not in people's eyes. So Saul had to die before King David became king. And King David anointed King Solomon. And King Solomon went bad in his old age, where God told Saul, you're gonna take some more. You're gonna take some away from King David. But he's not gonna take everything away from David. But Saul got to be punished. Solomon got to be punished. So when Rehoboam became king after Solomon died, his kingdom was split. 10 tribes went to Rehoboam, Jeroboam, and 2 tribes went to Rehoboam. This is the Rehoboam line. These were all the kings in Israel. Now you gotta read the book of Kings to get the story of all this right here. I'm trying to shortcut this right here without saying too much, but yet giving you the picture of the Bible, giving you the pictures about it. It's a history book. This is by generation number. The kings are by generation. These are by generation number. At the first generation, King David was the 33rd generation. King David was the 33rd generation. King David was the 33rd generation. Moses was 26th generation. Moses was 26th generation. From Moses to David, well, approximately 430 years. Because that's how long it took the judges to rule. About 430 years, according to the book of Acts. The judges lasted 430 years, judges. And then you went to the kingship. And the kingship went, I don't know how long, but a lot of generations. About 30, 40 generations. Or whatever, 30, 20, whatever generation. Until they went down to Babylon. 33rd generation to the 51st generation. 33rd generation to the 5th generation. 5th generation they went into Babylon, and there were no more kings in Israel. Judah was the last king. Judah, the seed of Judah, had the last king, who ended up going down to Babylon. It was Pekah, whatever his name is. They went down to Babylon. You got this chart and look at it and try to follow me where you can read the Bible and get the stories behind these things. Where you can read the Bible and get the story behind these things. But this is the Bible. All these are Hebrews. All these are Hebrews. All these are Hebrews under Abraham. All these are under Abraham and Isaac. All these is under Abraham and Isaac. You got Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Jacob got the 12 tribes, or the 13 children, with the girl, Dinah. And then Moses, who was given 5 books of the Bible. Moses was given 5 books of the Bible. And then the prophets wrote everything. That's what you got with the Bible. It's a true fact book that you can say is a science book. It's God's Word. You got the Jacob, Moses, judges, kings, prophets, priesthood. Only Aaron's seed could be high priest. But after captivity, I don't know, such as Caiaphas in the Testament. So let's go with page 19. It's my hope that you read about these kings, judges, Moses, that you may understand this chart, that it's not an opinion, is what the Bible shows here. Where you can look at this chart, pick a name out, and testify on that name. Again, you can look at this chart, pick a name out, and testify on that name. Testify on that name. But you gotta read the Bible in order to do this. Okay, we're closing now. This is Paul Lawson. Please get the book. Book number 1. 10 by 17. Or 8 by 11. To get the book, go to page 14. And it'll be told to you how to get the book. Again, go to page 14 in this video, in this YouTube video, and it'll be told to you how to get the book. Now, one other thing I want to mention here, when the Jews, Judah seed, which are the Jews here, when they went down to Babylon, Babylon began to rule of the whole world. Babylon was the rule of the whole world. There was world power in Babylon. Now, Judah wasn't no world power. Okay? And neither was Jeroboam, Israel of Jeroboam. And Judah, they were not world power. They were the power under the Lord. There was the power under the Lord. Now the world was still populated and Japheth, and in Ham. Now Babylon, I think Babylon was from Ham. I'm not for sure, but I think Babylon was from Ham. He could have been from Shem, though. He could have been from Shem, but I think he was from Ham. And then after Babylon came Persia. Now Persia was Shem, the first son of Shem, the Persian. Now, after Persia was the Greek. And the Greek were the Gentiles under Japheth. See, and Japheth's seed began to rule as Greeks. And after the Greeks came the Romans. The Romans took the power from the Greek. They both were world power. Greek was world power, Persia was world power, Babylon was world power, and Rome was the world power. And during the Roman period is when Christ came on the scene. During the Roman period, the Greek period, the Roman period, and the Gentiles came Christ. Again, under the Romans, the Gentiles, Japheth's seed, came Christ. And I tell you again, Christ was a white boy. I mean, blacks think he was black, but he wasn't black. You know. The boy was white. You know, he wasn't about fighting them Romans and everything. I mean, they was white like he was. In any case, that's what Christ came during the Roman period, and Rome changed the calendar. That's when time changed over. We went from generation time to year time. 75 generation. Christ was the 75th generation. Christ, 75th generation, and changed over to year. 75th year, 76th year, 77th year, 78th year, all the way down to 2020. That's what you got. It was generation, time was by generation, and now the time is by year. You could say month, day, and year. And it changed over with Christ during the Roman period. That's how you know the Bible is a history book. I mean, it's clear cut, but if the Bible is true, I mean, there's, I don't know. But that's all I have to want to say before I close. Christ came during the Roman period and started his own church, the Church of Christ. So this is what you got. Again, I'm closing down. This is Paul Redon.